Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest podcast on planet Earth. It is your boy. I'm not even going to introduce myself. The man that needs no introduction. Mr. Femi, you know
Look
what
at
the vibe
Look at
is.
the idiot, bro.
Yeah.
Needs no introduction, but let me introduce myself.
I realized, we might need to have some new listeners.
I thought you were talking about me, hey?
Nah, man, it's your boy Femi here.
You know, it's the humble one and only. It's your boy, Nick.
And we're here with a very special guest. Yeah, I'm not even gonna pay that idiocy any kind of
It's the
attention.
truth.
So we're here with the one and only, man. You guys know him. He's been on your TV screens. He's probably been on your computer screens. You don't even realize.
For all the good reasons.
All the good reasons, retargeting you.
Through ads.
And this is the one and only, man. A very, very good friend of us. A friend of ours. Traveled the world with this young man.
We did too, didn't we? We didn't even know each other.
We didn't.
Finessed us in episode 2, made us
Yeah,
get
man,
2 tires.
but
it is what it is.
Still stole from the
That's
nuns.
it, mate.
Still beat him anyway.
Yeah, smoked him.
Don't hate the player, hate the game, right?
But here with the one and only Mr. Sid Pierucci. What's going
Mate,
on, my man?
What a pleasure to be here. This has been a long time coming for the three of us.
100%, yes.
Now, we've been trying to catch up for a while and do this podcast, so let's get it underway.
Bro, I'm pumped.
Legit. This one's going to be so good. Like you said, we've been trying to tee this up for how long now? Legit, 3-4 months.
Yeah, bro. We've been saying this shit for a while, but this guy's very elusive. He's very busy, man.
Yeah.
He's got his. Those people that just got their hands in everything.
Yeah, everything.
That is Mr. Sid
But then you're
Pierucci.
kind of like, what the fuck does he actually do?
Yeah. It sounds like, what does Sid do? I was trying to make this intro. I'm like, damn, nigga, I don't know.
What are we going to say about it? But that was a good intro, man. Appreciate it.
Love that, man.
Now, your intro game's actually improving, I must say, but I wanted to give it that love, bro. That's actually,
Mate.
it's getting better.
Thank you. Nah, but Mr. Sid Pierucci, he makes it easy.
Yeah,
He makes it easy. When you got a lot to say, it's easy.
Yeah.
To do. So
I mean, you didn't say much.
Yeah, they didn't say much.
that's why it was easy. Don't listen easy.
This podcast is going to go pear-shaped.
Right.
Real quick, I can just see it, eh?
If it doesn't,
3 egos in one room.
That's what we love.
if it doesn't go left, it's not our podcast. I swear to God. I swear to God. So Nick, talk to the people. What is our icebreaker today, bro?
Hey, man, you know us, man. So we came with a little bit something special for Mr. Sid. We got a little bit of a truth or dare type thing, right?
Interesting. Very
And
interesting.
obviously what we're going to do is that we're going to ask it a couple of questions. Or he doesn't have to answer it, actually. You could do a dare if you want.
Yeah.
Up to you. But we're pretty much going to go through 3 questions. I think I'll get Femi to read it out. And we'll pretty much just let the game take us from there. So
I haven't played this game in years, eh?
Bro, this is the game that when you're 13, it's like
And you
you're
just want to kiss someone.
he's like, yeah,
It's
you
just
just want to kiss
like,
off. Oh, there's nothing else to
It's
chat
either
about on
this,
MSN.
it's either this or the bottle, right?
Yeah, these are the bottle.
It's like you have a girl next to you. It's like, I dare you guys to dare us to kiss.
And it always plays out.
And it always plays out.
It's like, oh, but it's the worst thing. Is like when they're like, oh, is there anyone in this room that you would kiss? And they look you dead in the eye and they're like, nah.
It's never happened to me.
Ooh.
It's the worst thing.
You guys can't relate.
Let's hate him even more.
First question, all right? So truth or dare?
But you were meant to pick 3. Why do you have 6 in your
I have
copy?
4, just in case one doesn't slap.
Yeah. Doesn't slap.
You're
like
genius.
that.
Exactly. So talk to me. Truth or dare?
Truth. Always lean into the truth.
Ooh.
Ooh.
All right, let's not get deep yet, bro. We're
Oh,
just
I apologize.
No. All right, so what is something about yourself that would scare others if they knew?
You got to be honest.
Oh.
You got to be honest.
Oh, God.
I don't know how to answer that, to be honest.
Truthfully.
Honest. Yeah.
I've got a very fiery side of me that's been kind of tamed down lately, which is a good thing. So probably that. I
Damn.
can be very snappy when it comes to it.
Anything in particular? Like what?
What snaps you?
Rejection.
Oh.
And how do you act? What's one of the
Oh,
physical-
it's for years I used to be reactive of that, and I think now I've learned how to kind of lean into my vulnerable side and embrace my feminine spirit a bit more.
Ooh.
And, so
You can see that with the
I've been
hair.
able,
Yeah.
I've been able to tame it.
Nah, I love that.
Yeah, that's
Dope.
sick.
All
Alright,
right.
that's one.
Truth or dare?
Truth again. Always.
Oof, okay. What is the longest you have ever gone without taking a shower?
Oh, probably 2 days.
Oh, okay. But this was trash.
That was a trash one.
Freddie,
Nah,
you're
I
trash.
like it. That's it. One more.
No. Okay.
That's why you were meant to go through it. Like, anyways, go on.
This guy I thought it was already organized.
Anyways, bro.
You were meant to go through it when you gave it
This
to
is
me.
your responsibility, bro. You said we're gonna look at it. That's just make up your own one.
truth or dare? You're gonna do truth again?
Truth.
Just truth or truth, I guess.
Yeah.
What is your biggest regret?
You know what's crazy? I know you know the answer.
Yeah.
You know it.
I've got a few, you know. I mean, I think regrets are kind of part of life, and if you don't believe in regrets, it means that you actually believe in a life that's a straight line with progression. And I think life is very much about up and downs and learning from mistakes. So I've actually got a tattoo that says "You live and you learn," which I got tatted a few months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after being arrested, for the record.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Ooh.
We're gonna talk about
That's what you're here for, right?
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're gonna talk about. That's gonna be a very, very good topic to talk about.
Look, man. Obviously, Sid, like you're like a successful entrepreneur. You got your you got your hands everywhere.
Is that my watch?
Huh? But I'm asking a question.
Did you take it from the drawer or something?
I was just looking at this. It's like, wait, that's a nice watch. I'm like, wait, that's my watch.
Moving on. Facts, it is.
It is.
I appreciate it.
What do we appreciate it?
Gift.
Go on.
was
Show
so
it to
like,
the camera.
You see it, baby.
Yeah, it is.
You
Shout
know
out to
the
Longy.
vibes.
All right.
It's possible, but anyway.
Possible.
But you know what I mean? So like you're obviously successful, you're an entrepreneur, you're highly ambitious.
I wouldn't claim it as successful, but I'm on my way.
Well, was it always like that? Like take us back about 15 years ago, back in your childhood. Like, was it always like that? Like where did that kind of come from?
I was always very entrepreneurial, even as a kid. Like I used to do you guys remember Beyblades?
Yeah.
Beyblades. What was it called? Beyblades?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Beyblades. Let
I
it
used to
rip.
like run comps at like lunchtime and like take money from kids. And,
Oh,
really? Yeah. So I was always very entrepreneurial. Got into stocks at a very young age. Gambled a bit of money. But yeah, I was very financially driven.
Yeah.
And I think that's still the case, to be honest. I've just kind of along the way learned how to manage like different aspects of it. But yeah, you could say that I've always been an entrepreneur.
I love that. That's sick. And even like with us, like when we're trying to get into the scene ourselves as well. So when we reflect back when we were kids, like we were selling like this guy. Oh, I won't even get into the nitty gritties, but we were selling like snapbacks. You know when snapbacks were big.
Yeah.
You sell like little fake Mitchell and Ness ones for like $60.
Hey, look, man.
Yeah. See, I was always, as a kid, I think I was always about like the big like quick cash. So I would have like, $200 and like try and gamble it on like soccer matches to win 150 grand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
What?
yeah. So I'm like, if I, I know. And it would be like a multi with like 8 different matches or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy shit. Cause I'd think, if I invest like $200 to win 2 grand, like it's not really worth it. And I think I've learned from that it's all about the quick wins and stacking. I mean, not the quick wins, the little wins and stacking them up to actually be able to build something instead of like, the patience game, instead of trying to strive for things that are not realistic. Yeah. There's no game changer.
That's sick. Did that come from anywhere? Like was your parents quite ambitious like that, or
Was it like a massive kind of L that you
No,
took?
so I was an athlete back in the day. Right. And I made a high performance squad. So I moved to Southport in Queensland and I lived up there for about a year and a half. So I was a swimmer for about probably like 20 years of my life. Wow. So, and there was a lot of discipline that came from that because I'd be up, I had 2 alarms in the morning, one at 4:06, one at 4:11. I was up 6 days a week at 4:11. I'd be in the water by 4:45 and I trained twice a day. So, I'd get to a point where, I was swimming probably like 40 Ks a week.
Wow.
And that was my life for 20 years. So there's a lot of discipline that came from that. And I think a lot of those values I'm able now to apply to business and being able to, create things from scratch.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's sick, man.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a particular. So you mentioned something about like now being more focused on the small rewards rather than that big
Yeah.
That big thing. Was there a point in your life, or was there like a business mistake, or was there something that you took that made you realize, like,
Man,
oh,
this will go full circle now, because this is how the Amazing Race actually happened.
Okay.
So I lost a bit of money on basically on a deal at the end of I think it was mid 2018. So by the start of 2019, I saw like 80% of like the cash that I had saved and invested kind of, gone, disappear. And the Amazing Race came from, okay, this is going to go full circle. We're going to win it, get 250 grand back. And, so I got to a point in 2019 where there was no more safety net for me. And that's where the partnership with my business partner, Jamie, actually, when it actually came in, I think it was March 2019, and we decided to go through an acquisition, join forces and create Defiant. But the Amazing Race came from the need for me to be able to access that 250 grand quite quick. And then it didn't play out.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So like if that was your plan initially and then knowing that you didn't win it, fuck, how was that when you came back to reality?
And that's how everything kind of played out, right? So I think 2019, it was actually one of the toughest years like of my life overall, like both financially, like I had a bunch of family stuff happen. And as much as I've always been an optimist as a person, there's a lot that came from that where I wasn't actually equipped to deal with it.
Sure,
And a lot of that came out in different ways, even within my relationship, right? So I went to Bali, met up with a shaman, cut my hair, went through a bit of a spiritual awakening, if you can call it that.
Have you read the book, The Monk That Sold His Ferrari?
I didn't.
Honestly, this story is very much like that. I won't go through the whole kind of premise of it, but basically it's that. It's a man that was at a very high point in his career, but it was very detrimental. It was very toxic to the person. He went on this kind of enlightenment journey, and he met like this monk, and it changed the way he perceived himself and changed his whole life, right?
I believe that.
And I think that we don't do that enough. We don't have to go to the extreme of going to Bali or whatever. But even if we have that inward kind of pilgrimage to be able to assess ourselves and be able to really go through that enlightenment, we can find out we're our own gurus. We can find our own enlightenment within ourselves. I think we need to do that more.
And I think that's very subjective, right? I've always been a person that's always been driven by environment. So for me, that had to be like a really net kind of cut for me to actually be able to take off, go elsewhere. And I actually did a retreat, and the retreat was all about sound healing and meditation and whatnot. And then the whole retreat led up to meeting the shaman. Man, like life changing to say the least. Like if anyone's read the book or seen the movie Eat, Pray, Love, like that was kind of my journey through like basically like finding myself in Bali, if you want to call it that. And it was, fairly crazy, man.
Yeah.
And what was that process like? So when you realized that it was getting a bit much in Sydney, you took off, right? Like, what was that self-healing process like?
I knew that it was going to be a process. I wasn't just going to go over and fly to Bali and just be like, okay, now I'm good. So a lot of it was about allowing myself to actually like grieve the relationship, right? So I was going through that kind of grief of like, okay, I'm here, I'm alone, like I'm present now. Like, how are you going to cope with this? And allowing, I guess, in a way, time. But in the same token, I actually wanted to be very proactive about my healing process. So I put in place certain, you can call them pillars, to make sure that there would be no come downs to like my healing process. So, I stopped drinking. I started meditating daily. I became vegetarian diet. And that was very extreme for me, but I've always been like a person of extreme. So, I'm not saying that this will work for everyone, but it really worked for me. And it was about creating that habit, right? So I gave myself 100 days of like trying to create the habit, and then I stuck to it.
Yeah, I'm the exact same actually. Just a side note, like I'm the exact same. Like I can't do gray areas in terms of like if I want to make a change. I'm very much like and then I think it's important to know yourself as well.
100%.
Because there's sometimes we try to look at other people, and you might even listen to our advice, and it's like, well, you need to know yourself, because Nick and I are quite different. Nick is very good at that whole kind of like 50-50 kind of thing, but I'm very much like, nah, it needs to be 100% and no leeway for it.
And I mean different things work for different people,
exactly,
right? But I think what I really believe is that to be able to achieve things like this, you need to strive from a place of self-confidence.
Yeah.
And the only way that you achieve self-confidence is through doing things that you've actually promised yourself, and going through that. Like if you say, you know, like I'm on this diet, like you need to stick to it. Like if you say, you know, I'm not gonna eat chocolate, like you stick to it. And self-confidence is built in those little moments of like stacking up the little wins again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's
100%.
really important, because I think a lot of times, like with us, like it's very difficult to build that habit or build that self-confidence to be like, you know, I'm going to do it and stick to it.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes we just say shit for the sake of saying shit so we look good.
Yeah.
You know, we're perceived like, okay, this guy's actually serious. But then when we go back, it's like,
Yeah.
within myself, I know what I'm actually doing, and it's not actually conducive to what I said I'm going to do. So how do you actually build that habit? Because I even see on your Instagram stories, like, so dedicated, wake up in the morning, do your meditation, you write a lot, exercise a lot. Like, this is a massive 180.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you do that? Or how did you do that? I don't want it to be like, oh,
generalized. Man, I knew that it could have gotten real dark for me if I actually chose a different path. And I knew that I could have tapped into discipline and self-confidence because it was something that I knew from my childhood, being an athlete.
Yeah.
And again, self-confidence is about sticking to the promises that you make yourself.
Yeah.
And that was it for me. Like, just, I decided that, you know, I didn't want any come downs. I didn't want to be reaching out to Ash at like 3 a.m. and like saying things that I didn't mean, just out of, you know, frustration and whatnot. So I gave myself guidelines that I was able to stick to. And I mean, that worked for me. And, you know, there's days where I kind of slipped up and, you know, you do reach out and you say things that you don't mean and stuff, but it's about being able to like kind of pull back and you do less and less. And my healing process actually began in Sydney before I went to Bali. You know, you start running a little bit more and drinking a little bit less, and you start, you know, eating a little bit more veggies and, you know, less meat. And, you know, not that you have to become a vegan, but that's what worked for me. So, you know,
definitely don't have to become a vegan now.
Exactly. But, you know, and again, like all this self-confidence stuff comes from a place of integrity as well. And integrity by definition is, you know, like basically doing what's best for you over what's fast and easy. And yeah, that's what I leaned into. You know, and practicing my values rather than just professing them.
Right.
And that's so true. I don't think we do that enough as people. Like, if you were to ask a lot of people, like even like if you asked me last year, like, what are your values? What is it that you truly believe in and like live by day in, day out? Like, most times we don't even know the answer to it. We're never really given ourselves the opportunity to be like, fuck, what is it that actually matters to us? Because we already know at a subconscious level that there's some values that kind of dictate how we operate and how we live. But we never really take the opportunity to bring it from our subconscious to our conscious and actually really start.
And it's about choosing courage over choosing what's comfortable. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. Which raised me to just a question I was thinking about just as you were talking about the story, which I wanted to ask you. Do you feel that if you hadn't experienced the amazing race and all these things that happened in 2019, what do you think life would be like at that time? Because I'm a big believer that
everything happens for a reason, right? As cliche as it might sound.
That's one, but I also believe that in order for you to grow and develop as a person, you need to go through those hard times. I feel like a lot of times
you need the resistance.
Exactly, because a lot of times we try to be like, oh, let's just like fucking tiptoe our way around.
It's 100%. It's like going to the gym. You know, the muscle has to break for it to grow. And I think humans are the same, man. You have to, you know, you have to crack yourself off, and that's how the light enters you.
So did you feel that life would have been completely different had you not experienced
I can't give you an answer to that because I'm sure other things would have happened. But, you know, this is the path that I'm on right now. And I'm very clear about where I'm heading, you know, business-wise and as a person. And, you know, and I'm actually, you know, leaning into vulnerability. And I read a book by researcher Brene Brown that's called Rising Strong. So while I was in Bali, there was this little arbitrage of like me reading a book that was like research and science driven. And then I was applying that to like the spiritual stuff that I was doing. And it really played out for me, man. Like, Brene Brown talks about vulnerability, and our vulnerability is actually the birthplace of courage. And any emotion, anything that you want from life comes from that place, from allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Imagine even you guys, you know, going to that casting for The Amazing Race. The second before you walked into the room, like you would have been like, you know, nervous and shaking, but you had to let yourself be vulnerable to then be able to step in there and be brave about what was actually about to happen. So, you know, bravery and courage and, you know, all these great emotions, love, and, you know, they all come from vulnerability.
100%. vulnerability, like leaning into your vulnerability, leaning into you as a person, because that's all that vulnerability is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Your own
often-
truth.
Yeah, it's
And
authenticity.
yeah, exactly right. And embracing the shame that we
Exactly.
carry as that story, you know? Yeah.
There's a-
100%, man, I believe in that.
100%. Like Sophia Bush, she talks about something called like being a work in progress, where you can be simultaneously a work in progress, unfinished, but a masterpiece at the same
100%.
time.
And I've used that quote on my Instagram.
Yeah!
You're reading.
No, but it's so true though. We think that we can't be, but like you look at the Mona Lisa, like that's the number one example. Like that's not finished.
Yeah.
Do you get what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like the biggest masterpiece in art history.
Humanity, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just like allowing yourself to understand is that like when you lean into like the fact that like, okay, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I'm this, I'm that, it doesn't take away from the fact that you're also brave and strong and
100%.
courageous.
And I think when it comes to that point, it's about the way that you frame it as well. Because when you hear athletes after like the Olympics or the World Championship or like a big race talk about the performance, you know, sometimes the interviewer would go, oh, you know, were you nervous? And you know, 9 times out of 10, the athlete would say, no, I was actually excited. And when you think about the actual triggers and the signals of both of these emotions, they're exactly the same.
Yes.
You know, your palms start sweating, your heartbeat races up. But if you frame it as excitement rather than nervousness,
That's right.
the whole experience completely changes.
100%.
That's
That's
so true.
athlete shit.
That's
I love
athlete
that.
shit. I
Yeah,
was reading down on
that's
Brendan
it.
Bouchard's high performance habits, where they're talking about it's like, bro, like naturally, like your body will start to respond and you start to feel these things which you can term as nervous, but like you say, you just shift it. It's like, no, I'm excited.
I'm
This is
excited.
a
This is this
great thing.
podcast, right? Fucking pumped to be here. boys.
Exactly.
The mind is so powerful.
Yeah,
man.
That's it,
It's
man.
actually so
Everything.
powerful.
And
Yeah.
it will actually always believe what you feed it. So as
Exactly.
long as you feed it, you know, hope and love and courage, you know, you're in a good
Yes.
place.
Yes,
That's all that.
yes.
Talk to me about your writing. You write a lot.
Yeah.
And you write a lot of deep stuff.
Yeah. Like,
What does that
do you
stem-
want
where
me
does
to
that
talk
come from?
about the actual writings that I do, like for publishers, or like the little tiles that I do on Medium,
let's start
on
there.
Instagram?
start there, yeah.
I mean, so I've been writing since 2017. And the first piece that I actually ever wrote was about equal marriage
Right.
in Australia. And I just wrote a bunch of stuff on Medium, like about, you know, like, sorry, not equal marriage, gay marriage, right?
Right.
And that was picked up by a publisher that's based in the UK that's called PS I Love You. And they actually really enjoyed what I wrote. So they commissioned 3 pieces for me to write about like love related things, right? So I did a bit of research and stuff. Like I'm 24, I think I'm killing it, whatever. And it's so funny. And it's so funny to see how like within the framework of what I was talking about, like there was a lot of, the intent was good, right?
Yeah.
But I was speaking from a, like from the blueprint that I was actually experiencing at the time.
Yeah.
And then when it came to like me having to apply those things into my relationship, like, you know, in the last 6 months, I wasn't able to because my experience was completely different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've been writing I write from business experience about, you know, social media and Facebook advertising and Instagram and growth hacking and all that kind of stuff. And then on the side as a hobby, I write about, you know, relationships and ego and whatnot. And again, from a level of like experience of what I go through. Yeah.
That's so sick. I mean, like, so anyone that's listening right now, like, you actually got to go check out his shit.
It. Medium, Sid Pierucci on Medium. There's a stack of articles there if you guys want to read.
IG, I blame Sid.
IG, I blame
As we
Sid.
all do.
As you all do.
That's it. And it's so funny, right? Because now, like, moving away from that blame game, like that's like my Instagram fucking handle.
Yeah.
What are the chances?
Yeah.
That's actually crazy.
All the stuff that you were writing, did you ever feel at one point that you were writing stuff but you were living out of alignment with that?
And this is what I was saying before about integrity, right?
Yeah.
So integrity is about, you know, like practicing your value rather than just professing them. And I think
Yes.
that's where I got caught up in the last few years. And it came from a really good intent of like, I knew the framework and the strategies to be able to apply in the relationship. But then when it came to it, I was under so much pressure from all the things that were happening to me, like financially, at a business level, like with my family, with the race, and being portrayed as like this villain. Like I was getting DMs from people like saying, "Oh, how does it feel to be the most hated person in Australia?" Like even if you saw like all the Twitter threads, you know, throughout the show, like it was all about fuck the influencers, this and that, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's funny to actually see people go full 360, because I would sit there and respond to every single fucking tweet and be like, you know, I would try and check stuff that they were saying and be like, oh, you know, I hope you're having a beautiful day, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then you see them come 360 and actually appreciate the time that you were giving these people.
Yeah.
But yeah, can't remember what the fuck we were saying.
but I liked it.
I liked it.
I liked what you were saying. Nah, so what the question was
professing
like,
that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got caught in between, and this is where now I'm leaning into, you know, not playing the blame game and being accountable basically for my own shit, to live up to actually what I write, basically.
So throughout everything, man, like, what do you think has been your biggest learning so far?
When I sat down with the shaman, right? So basically, this shaman was a lady in her 70s, like spoke no words of English. And so there was a translator there. And the way that it works with shamans is that you have to ask very specific questions. And anyway, I was there like doing my thing and obviously asked very specific questions. But then there came a point where she said to me, things will happen to you, which is going to sound cliche to, you know, everyone listening. But she said, you know, things will happen for you the moment that you become spiritually enlightened. And I looked at her, like the translator, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Right? Yeah. And basically she goes, people become spiritually enlightened the moment that they're not reactive to things anymore. So it doesn't matter what happens at home or what happens in your business or what happens in your relationship. You've got a level of inner peace that cannot be shaken.
Yeah.
And that's the moment that things start happening. And this is how, you know, I started tapping into vulnerability, not playing the blame game and being accountable for my own shit. And I think that's a great starting point for me, and I'm growing from it.
Right. How you going with that?
Hey, every day, it's, you know, little by little, day by day, you know, the things that are meant for you, come and find you.
So what specific spiritual stuff are you doing now? Like, is there anything, are you meditating more?
Yeah, so I meditate daily.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very religious with it. It's actually become part of like my workout routine.
Right.
So I'll work out in the morning for about an hour and a half, and then, you know, I'll take 15 to 20 minutes to meditate. Sometimes I meditate at night as well. But again, I'm very driven by environment, so I have to do it like in front of Bondi Beach or at icebergs or, you know, like, yeah, man, it's like a little holiday for the mind. And I think things started shifting for me as well the moment that I realized that meditation wasn't about controlling your thoughts. It was about not letting your thoughts control you. And that's why I meditate.
That's amazing. It's sick. Do you know what though? Like, I feel like meditation now is finally becoming a little bit more
Mainstream.
Understood as like not just this woohoo bullshit,
Boho,
but it's actually like a really, really powerful performance tool, self-development
100%.
tool. All those things are now, it's really not just this. It's not for people that do yoga on the beach and can do backflips. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
And I mean,
It's not just for them.
It's really like each to their own, right? Like, that's a practice. And when I was in Bali, I decided not to like work out and lift for about 2 weeks, and I was just doing yoga. And like, as a yoga person that's not experienced, I wasn't actually present within the practice. But meditation goes hand in hand with it. So there's, you know, at the end of the practice, you might meditate, and it's all about self-awareness and actually, you know, like finding your body and yeah, man, like whatever works for people. But I mean, meditation is working for me.
Yeah,
I feel
100%,
like it is.
100%. I feel like it's really, with meditation, I always feel like it's something that my experience, right? It's something that you don't feel the difference in when you're doing it, but you feel a difference when you don't do it.
Yeah.
Because whenever I stop meditating, I feel myself becoming so much more reactive, so much more like, why does everything bother me? But the moment that you're able to actually give yourself that presence, you become a lot better at it.
Do you meditate religiously?
That's the thing. I used to. I go through periods where I might go 3 months of just every single day without a doubt, but then I might go like a week without it. And that's what I mean by extremes. I'm the type of person that's like, I'm either 100%. As soon as I get off, it's like then I have to go back into it.
But do you allow yourself to actually be able to create that habit and stick to it for, you know, like 100 days to the point where it then becomes automatic? You know, you have to get up in the morning and you're like, okay, it's part of my fucking workout routine. Like, I do it because it's part of that.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to integrate it into something. It's one of my biggest
and I think
goals.
what's really meditation, what it's actually done for me, it's allowed me to select my thoughts the same way that I, you know, select like my shoes before I walk out of the room.
Yeah.
And the way that I see it too, it's like, you know, like kind of thoughts are kind of like, you know, clouds that are passing by, and you just like look at the ones that bring you the most joy. So, you know, you're not your thoughts. Like you just let them pass by like fucking clouds, and then select the ones that, you know, make you happy.
Yeah, I love that.
That's cool. I was even trying myself to like get back into the habit of meditation. Like just same as Femi, it's like you do it, like you go hard at it for like 3 months, and then it's so easy to get out of it. I think for me, that came from like maybe because it's intangible, right? I felt like I wasn't seeing a direct result from it, so it was so easy to slip my mind.
Yeah.
For people that are trying to get into it, from your experience, how do you suggest someone like that wants to get into it? Because everyone nowadays knows that meditation's so beneficial.
Yeah.
You know, with social media, all the influencers, athletes, and all high CEOs, high performers, they're all talking about meditation as part of the daily ritual. How would someone get into it, and what do you think they should expect as part of it to?
Man, I actually have no knowledge base on this, and I'm not an expert. So my own experience of it is like I knew that it had to be done. Like I got to a point where I just become so reactive of everything, whether it was work or my relationship, or, you know, I couldn't handle rejection. And I knew that from what I've heard and, you know, like basically reading stuff online, that meditation would allow me to basically bring my thoughts back together. And for me, again, it was very much driven by environment. Like, you know, I'm fortunate enough to be living in Bondi. I mean, not anymore, but, you know, just around the corner. So even just going down to the beach and like basically sitting down, what I started doing was actually using a podcast on Spotify, which is guided meditation. And I just listened to it, and there's a person that guides you through the practice. So you just listen to that, and the more you do it, the more you find yourself basically getting deep into the practice. And then after about 60 days, I got to a point where I would try just to sit by myself in the afternoon, you know, at sunset, and basically gather my thoughts and set the intentions for the next day. And that's what's worked for me. Like it's about prioritizing what meditation actually is for you, right?
Yeah.
The same way that you prioritize, you know, like a workout or whatever it might be, or going to the shops to buy groceries, like just make it part of your routine and your practice.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, that's what's actually worked for me.
Yeah.
I love that, bro.
Bro, this is sick.
That's sick.
Honestly, like Sid, you're actually one of the sickest guys. Like, I'm just engrossed by your. Like the wisdom is so apparent, and like the difference between you on the race and you now. That's what I was
trying to kill you on the race. That's right.
Honestly, I mean,
just even the car where we were driving.
I was like, "Yo, Sid, you're lucky you're zooming." I'm like, I bet, so I'm just honestly engrossed by what you're saying. I think that,
I appreciate that.
Bro, like the difference is awe-inspiring, honestly. And I think
I really appreciate that.
My pleasure, man. I think that it's a real inspiration for people to really be inspired, bro. Like you can make such a massive change in such a short period of time when you get your mind right.
If you want different, you got to do different.
100%.
Yeah.
I love that. The most important takeaway that I've got is your thoughts are just clouds passing through.
Yeah, and you get to choose.
And you get to choose. You can look at them. You really do get to look at them, and you get to say.
And the ones that bring you joy, those are the ones that you select.
Yeah. But I also do want to mention that it's obviously, you know this, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And it all takes practice. It's a muscle, and it's all part of the process. So obviously you can't expect yourself to be as good as someone that's been doing it every day for the past 6 months on your first
Correct.
day.
Correct.
So let yourself,
and it is a process, and let yourself, like, this is a patience game as well. Like, let yourself, like, respect the journey that you're actually embarking on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure, man.
That's exactly right. And because I'm a victim of that too, in terms of like meditation, in terms of like a lot of things is I jump in it, I'm like, fuck, why am I not floating? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I not this, like...
Am I still walking?
Yo, why am I not this, like, you know what I mean? Why am I not a monk? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't give myself the opportunity to be a beginner.
Yeah.
So...
100%, bro.
Yeah, I think it's really important for that process, but...
that was so good, man. I really, really love that. Yeah. We usually go into like a rapid 5 now, but...
Yeah, let's do it. I'm happy.
100%.
We've got somewhere to be at 7, but...
You get cameras down, but you know, we'll get there. Super quick.
Yeah.
Try to keep them short AF. Don't think about it too much.
Sip of water. So
One word, one sentence max. answer.
Boom.
If we wanna delve in a little deeper,
Yeah.
we'll do it off camera.
Off camera, facts. So I'll try to know it off by heart. Number one, what's your favorite movie?
Braveheart.
Love that movie, dope.
Gladiator number 2, Blow number 3.
Blow.
Blow.
Scrap that one out.
That's some Sydney shit.
And that's out the whole interview. That's out the window. I had a cap to 45 minutes. That's the issue.
Yeah, do you, bro? That's your favorite movie.
Man, you gotta watch that. Johnny Depp and Penelope Cruz, maybe.
Don't try to sell it to me now, bro.
We said one word. I bet. What's your favorite? What's the most important item that you have? Like people
Item-wise.
don't count.
Phone.
No, phones and computers don't count. Like item. Yeah.
Swimming goggles.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you still swim a lot? Oh,
Not like not too much, but I still get in the water every now and then.
you
Like I start dreaming about it, and I have to get in and like.
Do you remember when I beat you in Mongolia?
Yeah.
I beat you? Just saying, man.
I think I was kicking on a kickboard. Wasn't I?
I smoked this guy. I smoked this guy.
Idiot. Favorite travel destination? Yeah, you've been to a lot of places.
Yeah, I would say Capri in Italy.
Oh yeah.
That's nice. I bet. What's your most attractive quality? Like, what do you find is the most attractive quality for someone? In someone. Sorry.
In someone.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna sound fucking cliche, but kindness. Like I'm very aware of how people speak to other people, even like in the context of like just being at a restaurant. You know what I mean? How they speak to a waiter or how they speak to like people that they don't necessarily have to be kind to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. And the last one, what is your number one tip/advice for life?
Whew. Lean into your vulnerability. Like grow the fuck up and be accountable for your own shit. Like there's no blame game here, and things will start playing out for you.
Love that.
You know, little by little, day by day, what's meant for you will find its way. Namaste.
Namaste. On that note, we're gonna go meditate.
Yeah,
Let's see that.
No, but honestly, Sid, man, that was amazing, bro. Like so much,
Appreciate
Black
it,
Family
man.
said so much wisdom. Another side that like I haven't even seen before. So this was actually like I was so interested in this.
Yeah.
Just seeing your level of
Appreciate
growth
it, boys.
and everything, man. So honestly, I really, really appreciate that.
Yes.
Where can people find you, bro?
Instagram, my handle is at IBlameSid. You can check out my company website, defiantdigital.com.au, and we basically, get more leads and make more sales for companies. It's very straightforward. It's about Facebook and Instagram retargeting and, applying, kind of growth to digital marketing. So there's a little plug there.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So if you start seeing our ads pop up on your Facebook and your social media screens, you know
who
who's
it
doing
is.
it.
And then you can read my stuff on Medium at Sydney Pierucci.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's amazing. And you know where to find us at Nick and Femi on Instagram.
Find me at Neezy, 4 E's and an underscore.
Yeah, these guys are amazing. Like, it's so good to actually see them grow. Like, we used to chat about doing a podcast and do this kind of shit on the show as soon as we came off, and it's so good to actually see it manifest. And the work that you guys are doing, like, fucking proud of it.
I appreciate
that, man. We love that, honestly.
All right, peace.
Cool, man. Well, look, peace and love. If you love this, please leave a review. We always check your reviews. You know what? We should actually have like a segment when we go through like our 2 reviews that we have.
I'll write one for you as well.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. But honestly, leave a review, like,
man.
comment, subscribe, share it. And if you had any learnings from it, like I'd love to hear what you guys have learned. And I'm sure Sid would like to hear it as well. So
Yeah, for
don't
sure.
hesitate to reach out to us.
And your feedback is so important, man. Like we're not, professional podcasters yet.
Get in there, though. Like, you can see the progress.
Yeah.
But so as soon as you guys have any feedback, like we're so open to learning and being here to hear what you guys have to say. So if you got a review, it doesn't always have to just be a good review. If it's a bad review, just send it in my DM. Don't put it on Instagram. Come on, bro. You just send swear. Come on. No, but hit us up and then tell us what your feedback is.
Thank you so much, boys.
I appreciate it, man. Peace and love.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.